Hello everyone and welcome once again to the F1 corner after the Sakhir Grand Prix. What just happened? Seriously, when you think that 2020 cannot get any more weird than it already is, it comes back and slap you in the face once again. Sergio Perez wins the Sakhir Grand Prix in front of Esteban Ocon and Lance Stroll, while Mercedes mix up tires during a pit stop and finishes 8th and ninth when they did not even need it to stop for new tires. And that pretty much sums up what happens during this race. That was a crazy one. Verstappen and Leclerc out on lap 1 after a blunder from Charles, who just took himself out and almost took Perez out with him. Sergio was 18th after the first lap and managed to climb back up and win that race. So just crazy overall. And now it's time to just take a look at every team one by one, as we usually do, and figure out who are the winners and losers this week at the Sakhir Grand Prix. And before we start, please remember to smash the like button and to subscribe to this channel. As usual, we start with the winners of the week, and we have to start, of course, with Racing Point. First victory since they were still called Jordan, and first ever double podium after a heartbreaking race last week. After falling back in 18th after a first lap crash, who would have thought that Sergio Perez would be on the top of the podium today? He fought his way through lap after lap. Amazing drive by the Mexican, who might be approaching the end of his F1 career once again after showing that he should be without a doubt and that he deserves to be on the grid. Credit also to Lance Stroll, obviously, who started 10th and managed to stay out of trouble during the race and using the opportunity to finish 3rd. They now have the advantage over McLaren and Renault for 3rd in the championship. Everything will be decided next week in Abu Dhabi. 9.5 out of 10. Renault. Esteban Ocon gets his first F1 podium. The best result of his career and also his best race of the season. After being passed by the rocket that was Sergio Perez, Esteban managed to keep Lance Stroll behind him for the second part of the race and also takes advantage of the other's mistake to get this result. Daniel Ricciardo also had quite a strong race, managing to finish P5. The team is still in the fight for the constructors, a bit far behind Racing Point, but definitely in reach of McLaren. It is a 9 out of 10 this weekend. Haas. Despite finishing 15 and 17, this was a nice weekend for Haas overall, considering what happened last week to Romain Grosjean. Both cars coming home at least in one piece this week, and Pietro Fittipaldi completing his first F1 race and confirmed that he will be there next week, since Grosjean already said that he will not take part in the last race of the season to properly recover from his injuries. Good luck, Romain. It is a 7 out of 10 for Haas. AlphaTauri. Solid race once again for the small team. They ran high in the standing for most of the race, but had to do 2 pit stops, which set them back a bit. Still, Kvyat finishes 7th, while Gasly struggled a bit more and finishes 11th. But it is a good result, and they are showing once again that they are in that fight for the 3rd best car, even though they are not officially there in the constructors. They are medaling, getting points, and it's good money for the team also. 7 out of 10. We now go on to our passing grades, and we start with McLaren. Good race for the orange team, who is still fighting for 3rd in the championship. They save the day on their side, and they stay right in the middle of that fight for 3rd place, 10 points behind Racing Point. Carlos Sainz, after a strong qualification, manages to bring the car home in 4th place, only a few laps away from maybe getting a podium in front of Lance Stroll. Lando Norris, after starting 19th for a late engine change, brings his machine up to 10th place after making up 9 places on lap 1 only. With one race to go, everything is still on the table for that constructors' battle. It is a 6.5 out of 10. Red Bull. Very bad luck for Max Verstappen, who fell victim of the action on track, and there is nothing he could do to avoid the crash that took him out. Albon had a good drive overall, managing to climb up to P6 at the finish after starting 12th, but again struggling to find pace and not able to fight in the big leagues. They can feel a bit better if they consider that their qualifying pace was right on par with Mercedes, and that if not for bad luck, the victory might have been theirs. Overall, it is a 6 out of 10. Williams. We didn't hear much about Williams during this race, if only at the start when they were fighting with Alfa Romeos and Haas. It was tough to have 2 rookies in their machines, but it could have been worse. Latifi sadly had to retire mid-race, but Jack Aitken performed relatively well all things considered. He managed to finish the race despite a spin that saw him lose his front wing, and was even in front of rookie Pietro Fittipaldi. 6 out of 10. Alfa Romeo. Weekends are still more or less the same for Alfa Romeo. They weren't in the spotlight either this week. Raikkonen had a good race, starting 19th and coming home 14th, while Giovinazzi managed to stay in front of him in 13th. Nothing much to say, there's one race to go, and hopefully that car will work better next year. 6 out of 10. We now go to our losers for this week, and we start with Mercedes. For a rare time, Mercedes were the most unlucky and made so many mistakes, you could hardly believe it without seeing it. They were going for an easy 1-2 at the finish line, but it all completely fell apart when they decided to do a double pit stop under the safety car, a pit stop which was probably not even needed. They mixed up George Russell's tires, and he had to stop twice, while there was also a ton of confusion when Bottas came right behind him, and he ended up leaving with the same old tires that he already had. The result was them going from 1-2 to 4-5. At the restart, Bottas simply fell down the order, and as if that wasn't enough, George Russell picked up a slow puncture and had to stop once again. They come home 8 and 9 when it should have been an easy victory. On the bright side, George finally got his first F1 points. You still have to wonder how things could have been worse. 5 out of 10. Ferrari. A mistake from Charles Leclerc in turn 4 and Sebastian Vettel with a tough season. That pretty much summarizes the race for Ferrari. Leclerc had everything for him, starting 4th with the hope of fighting at the front, but he lucked up and smashed into Sergio Perez on lap 1, and that was it. Vettel on his side was never really into it. The only attention he got was for a fight with Jack Aitken's Williams when he got out of the pit lane. They will be eager to finish this season of misery. The next race is the last, and they will want to move on to next season. 4.5 out of 10. That's it for today, everyone. Thank you once again. Please hit the like button and subscribe, and I will see you again next week for the last race of the season in Abu Dhabi.